Now, I will presume you're knowledgeable and know that Russia's having some serious manpower problems, and that Ukraine has just had a massively successful offensive where they've captured a lot of equipment. So you're probably thinking that I'm going to say Russia should bring conscription. Now that's where you're wrong. You see, my brilliant plan for Russia to win this war is to surrender. Yes, you may be wondering, surrendering isn't winning. But why did Russia invade Ukraine? NATO. NATO is the enemy. This war is the inevitable, not inevitable, but practically security inevitable war with NATO. So Russia needs to be ready for war with NATO. And Russia could not guarantee Ukraine's neutrality. So if there's a neutral Ukraine, then Russia's goals are achieved. Okay, but here's the thing. Russia has attacked Ukraine, and Ukraine's on the upper hand. How are you going to make Ukraine not join NATO? Well, it's simple. Get the Nazis in charge. Now you'd be wondering, Nazis hate Russians. And you're right. Nazis absolutely hate Russians. Well, here's the problem. For Russia, what's the solution? Well, just let the Nazis be in charge and do their Nazi stuff. Make a deal, surrender deal with them. Give up core Russian territory to Ukraine. So I'm not talking about like giving half of Russia to the Nazis. I'm talking about look at old maps, and the Ukrainian borders used to be different. Okay, in World War One. So get them to the World War One borders, which had quite a small chunk of land consistently along the Russian border belonging to Ukraine. So Ukraine expands a little bit, they get Crimea. Then you lease out the port in Sevastopol from the Nazis. And more importantly, you want to make it a humiliation factor. So it needs to look from the eye of the average Joe that Russia's being humiliated. So what do you do? Well, it's simple. Russia has to pay a lot of reparations. There's no getting around that. It will just add to the humiliation factor. So Russia's lost territory. They've got to pay heaps and heaps of reparations. And Belarus leaves the Union state. Belarus is like, oh, Russia's stupid, blah, blah, blah. But here's the thing. Belarus is acting as kind of like a little secret double agent here. Because the goal is that you make deals with the Nazis and stuff. And the idea is that from now on, Lukashenko is going to play a role. He's going to play the role as Russians are Mongols, Belarusians are the White Russians. And the Nazis will be in this. So what you want to do is get a Nazi Ukraine and a Belarus alliance. And they are going to be neutral. Why are they going to be neutral? Because it's simple. If Russia can prevent Finland from joining NATO, which is a tool, but if they can do it, it'll be great. And if they keep Sevastopol, that means the Black Sea is covered. So where they're going to invade through? Estonia and Latvia. And there's a small bit through Norway, but that can be fixed and stuff, defenses and stuff. This is a small gap. Yes, it's a lot closer to Moscow than what Russia would hope, but remember, it's somewhat easily defendable terrain. It's not the best to attack through, and with the Nazi Belarus neutral lines, because the Nazis hate the West just as much as the Russians. So if they make a humiliating defeat, and also you want Russia to say like, oh no, we would have won, but almighty Azov battalion like killed 10,000 Russians in Mariupol. They're like so brave and stuff. We never won a battle against the Nazis and stuff. Oh no, like half our casualties came from the Nazis despite them being such a small force. So yeah, pretty much Russia needs to surrender to the Nazis. Of course, Ukraine is not run by Nazis, but the Nazis should hopefully get in charge of Ukraine after the war. So you got a relatively hostile Nazi Ukraine, but they're neutral and they hate the West just as much. So they're not gonna help join the West into attacking Russia. And Belarus should help them keep neutral and stuff. So yeah, this is how I've turned a Russian defeat into a Russian victory. Yeah, bit poorly explained, but that's what you get. And long story short, if Russia surrenders to Nazis, they win. So yeah, that is all.